So Vivienne is this beautiful chocolate skin tone mommy. She has curves in all her desired places. Don't get it twisted. Vivienne has spent a pretty penny ensuring that she gets work done, nipped and tucked where she feels she needs to be to accentuate and to almost highlight her beauty. She's had enhancements, but even without that, Vivienne has always been a very beautiful girl. She's always been a very beautiful girl. Now, because of how much time and attention she puts into her look, of course, wherever she goes, she gets the attention that she wants. She gets the attention she needs in order to do the work that she does. She gets that attention. She's a business owner. She has her own clothing boutique as well as a skincare brand. And Vivienne is not about anything but her coin. She knows how to secure the bag. She's clear with her friends, with herself. It's money first and feelings later. If feelings come, they come. But the most important thing, you got to keep your eye on the prize. You've got to know that this is about money. We are getting money. We are securing those bags. And she moves like that, unapologetically. She is not ashamed to have people financing a particular lifestyle, her particular lifestyle. She's not ashamed to get what she needs to get from men for her own personal gain. She's not ashamed of it. She owns it. So Vivienne has arrived in town back in Joburg 2 nights ago, and she decides she's going to meet up with her girlfriends. She wants to meet up with them so that she can catch up, and she's been craving some of that amazing African cuisine. And so she goes to a really popular African restaurant in the city, and she pulls up. Her girlfriends are there sitting, waiting for her. She gets there, and as soon as she gets there, they already start ordering some bottles of how you doing, and they are ready to get that drink. They order their food, and they're sitting, talking, laughing, catching up. And yeah, she's telling them about her travels and what she was experiencing when she traveled and all of that, and the people she met. When the waiter comes to their table and brings them a bottle of champagne, another bottle of champagne, and they ask, like, who's this from? And he, points towards this table where there are 2 really good-looking men sitting there. And they just say thank you to those guys, and they carry on drinking and catching up. Eventually, their food arrives. And coincidentally, the food at the other table arrives at the same time. So one of the gentlemen sitting at that table gets up, goes over to Vivienne and her table, her friends, and says, hey ladies, how you doing? My name is Keith. I just wanted to find out if you guys would like to have dinner with us. If I can get us a bigger table, would you be interested in us all sitting and having dinner together? And they said, yeah, sure, why not? And so he gets that table, and they all sit down and they have dinner. Now, Keith is sure to sit next to Vivienne because that's who he has his eye on. That's who he wants to speak to. And so they all sit at that table. They're drinking, talking. He's giving Vivienne extra attention, trying to get to know her, all of that. And as the night progresses, he says to them, after dinner, would you guys be interested in going somewhere else? And they say, yeah, sure. I mean, the night is still relatively young. Why not? And so as soon as dinner's over, they make their way to the front entrance of the hotel. Keith and his boy, the one who he was sitting with, tell them, wait here. Now remember, Vivienne is with her 2 other friends. So they're like, wait here, we're just going to get the cars and we'll pull up and get you guys and then we'll go. So they wait there, looking all cute with their high heels and all of that. And these guys pull up. Now, Keith pulls up first. He's in the latest Range Rover. It's black on black thing, okay? And his boy pulls up behind him in an X7, and they get in. Vivienne gets into the passenger seat, the front seat of Keith's car, and one of her girlfriends gets into the back. And her other friend is like, I'm going to ride with Keith's boy. And so they do. They get into the cars and they start moving. Vivienne is talking to Keith. They're laughing. So is the friend in the back, all just having a conversation. And Vivienne's friend is doing the same with Keith's boy. Like, they are having their own conversation in that car, getting to know each other. As time goes by, Vivienne asks him, where are we going? And he says, I'll show you. They pull up to a hotel. As soon as they get into the lift, he is pressing penthouse floor. How you doing? So they get up there. Vivienne and her friends are already looking at each other like. They get up there and everything is beautiful. I mean, decor, the way the place, the interior decoration, everything is popping. It is stunning, stunning, stunning. And in that space was a modern built-in bar area where, oh my goodness, all of the champagne you can think of was there. And he offers them something to drink and tells them to come through and have a seat. They sit down, they talk, they have some drinks. They are like, wow, this is just too amazing. Eventually, Vivienne says to Keith, I really want to see the view from outside. Will you come with me onto the balcony? And he's like, yeah, no, sure, let's go. And they leave the others sitting there. So they go onto the balcony and they start getting to know each other. Now she is just mesmerized, absolutely blown away by this view. He is high up. Okay, he is high up, and she's just so blown away. And he comes up from behind her, he's holding her waist, he's telling her she's an absolutely beautiful lady, and he really wants to get to know her. So they start talking about a couple of things, asking each other questions, and they're really into it. They both, I mean, again, Keith is not a bad looking guy. He's not a bad looking guy. He is that beautiful black man with that built body, and he's got that very rough looking manly man look. So I mean, look, Vivienne is not complaining. And so they're on this balcony talking, and just in passing he says to her, so what are you up to tomorrow? And she says, well, I'm gonna wake up, I'm going to get some breakfast, and then go and do my hair and my nails, and then you and I are going to link up, but all of the stuff prior is on you. And she laughs it off, but she's not joking. She's very clear that she's going to go and get those things done, and Keith is going to pay that bill. Keith is going to catch that bill. And so he laughs and he's like, okay, cool. Well, we'll see what happens tomorrow. They eventually go back in and they hang with everybody else, talking, you know, all of that, just having a conversation. Eventually it's time to leave. It's getting very late. And Keith asks Vivienne for her number, and she gives him the number, and as they're saying goodbye, she gets a text message, and it's from Keith, and he's like, this is Keith, please send me your account details. And she says goodbye, gets into the cab. As she's in the cab on the way back to her place, remember, she had sent him the text. She'd sent him the text with her banking details. She gets a text with that credit alert that, you know, your account has been loaded. And she's already like, I mean, of course, he was going to pay for this. He was going to pay for this. And so the next morning, she gets up, pampers herself, gets her nails done, her hair done. And Keith, sure enough, calls her and he's like, well, can I come and fetch you a bit later on today? I want to take you somewhere. And she's like, okay, of course. And she gives him her address and Keith pulls through. But before he comes, he lets her know, please make sure that you are comfortable. And she makes sure she's wearing a beautiful figure-hugging, colorful summer dress, but she's got slip-ons. So she's comfortable. She's comfortable. He pulls up, she gets into the car. They make their way to a bit of a distant location. And when they get there, it's champagne tasting. Now, he picked up last night from what she was saying and, you know, what her and her friends drinking, that she really does appreciate a good bottle of how you doing. So he wanted to take her somewhere to show her that I listen when you speak. I've been paying attention. And so this champagne experience is an experience. She gets to taste champagnes she hadn't tasted before. Get there, having drinks, doing all of that, spending time with Keith. And the next couple of months, 8 months to be precise, are just absolute bliss. They are bliss. These two are seeing each other on the regular. He is taking her on shopping sprees. He's spending his money. Like, he is spending. They're going away together on short trips. He's helping finance her business. She is making sure she's getting cute bags and shoes out of this deal. She is really going to town with it. Eventually, she starts complaining to Keith about the fact that she's not enjoying the place she stays. She does not like the property anymore, and the rent, like the space, and the rent is just getting too ridiculous. And this is something she keeps complaining to him about. Eventually, he's like, why don't you stay in one of my properties? Now, Keith is into property and trade. So he has a couple of cute properties, as well as he's out there dealing with properties. And so he says to her, why don't you stay at one of my places? And she says, okay. So she moves in there. And in the back of her mind, it was okay the minute he said it, because she doesn't want to have to pay rent. Any money that she can save, she's going to save it. So she moves into his place. It's all rent-free. She's loving this life. I mean, now she's got that extra coin to put into her business and to put into her physical appearance, and she's doing the most. One evening, while her and Keith are sitting down in the lounge, she says to him, baby, I'm going to have to travel soon. Like, I'm really going to have to make some time to travel. Fashion week is coming up. So I'm in Congo. So I'm really going to have to make my way there. And he's cool. Guys, Keith has started to really have feelings for Vivienne. He really, really likes her a lot more than he anticipated. These months have been really amazing for him. It's been blessed for him too. And spending that money isn't a problem for him because he's got it. And so he also wants to show her he respects her, he supports her business. So he says to her, no, I really do think you should go down to Congo for Fashion Week. I think it's going to be an experience. You're going to meet people. You're going to see how the fashion is that side, and potentially secure vendors for your store. So I really, really do think that you should go. And so she does. She goes. And he's going to be very busy. He is a very busy man. So he's not even entertaining the idea of going with her. So she goes to Congo. And I mean, true to who Vivienne is, she makes sure she travels in style. She is traveling in style. The way she's dressed, the type of ticket she's booked, she is traveling in style. She eventually arrives in Kinshasa, and when she gets there, she checks into her hotel, she relaxes a bit, and then she's immediately here on the phone, contacting her very good friend Julia, who happens to be in Congo. And she's like, let's meet up. Now, of course, the first night she gets there, she wants a taste of that nightlife. She wants a taste of that nightlife, and Julia is the plug. She is the right person for it. So they go out that night. Drinks are flowing. There's just this ambience in the air. Now, anybody who's traveled to another country, when you experience their nightlife, it is like nothing else because it's not what you're used to experiencing. So everything just feels so fresh and so new, and you're kind of just looking around and taking everything in because the vibe is so different. And that's what it was. And she's enjoying this nightlife in Kinshasa. The next 2 days, she is focused on securing the best makeup artists and the best hairstylists because Fashion Week is about to start and she needs to look the part. Julia has let her know, Mommy, we're sitting front row. So make sure that you've got everything on lock, because we are sitting in the front. There's going to be media, all of that press. You need to have it on lock. So she just focuses on making sure her outfits are good. She's already bought some pieces, but she also wants to wear other pieces to represent her time there in the Congo. And she makes sure she gets what she needs to get. So Fashion Week starts, and the shows she's attending are absolutely incredible. The designers are on point. The vibe is on point. The people, the everything is just more than what she was anticipating. And that night, Julia had told her, after this fashion show, we're going back to your hotel. We're going to get ready because we're going to a private exclusive after party. So yeah, don't waste too much of your energy because we've still got to go and do some things tonight. And so after the fashion show, they go back to her hotel. They get ready. Vivienne puts on this really sexy, short, embellished pink strap dress with these nude high heels. Julia is looking amazing too. So they pull up to that club. As soon as they get there, they are shown to a private area in the club. They sit, they've got their bottles, they're waiting for them. They're with a group of other people. This is a party for the who's who. You know, it's for the models, it's for celebs, it's for business. Like these are the people you want to be rubbing shoulders with, brushing shoulders with. So as soon as they get there and they're in their section, she's just so aware of who she is amongst. Like, she's just aware. She may not know them by name, but she knows, I'm here at this after party where things are popping. This is where you want to be tonight. As the night goes on, she notices a table kind of opposite their table. And she notices that there's a lot of bodyguards and she can't quite see who's sitting at that table. There's a lot of, it's just very private and very kind of secretive. She catches a glimpse here and there of the faces in that section, but she really can't see what's going on. So she says to Julia, what's going on at that table? And she's like, oh no, those are the big boys of Kinshasa. Those are, mommy, these are politicians' sons, wealthy businessmen. Those are the guys, the movers and the shakers of the city. That's why there's bodyguards everywhere. And she's kind of just looking. She is in awe. She is intrigued. She's curious. And she's just like, I want to go over there. I want to go over there and meet people. And Julia's like, Mama, that's not how that works. These are not small time people. This is some serious stuff. You don't just go over there. So yeah, you won't be doing that tonight. The bodyguards will stop you dead in your tracks. You don't want that embarrassment. So Vivienne is like, okay, cool. She won't make a move, but she needs to figure out a way to get attention because she needs to be noticed by at least somebody in that circle. So she's there, posted up, looking, staring, really trying to see who is in there, who can I spot. Eventually, she's like, this is not working. So she decides to stand up and start dancing. But that type of dancing that is very, look at me. I want that attention. I want you guys to notice me. And she's there doing the things. And Julia knows what her friend is doing. And she's here for the shenanigans. So she's hyping her up. They're hyping each other up, dancing the heck, having a good night. The following morning at the hotel, Julia decided to sleep over with Vivienne. And so she gets a call. Vivienne gets a phone call and she's told by the person at reception that your guest has requested, good morning, ma'am. Your guest has requested that you be dressed and ready by 12. There's a car, the hotel has a cab service and they're going to take you to such and such a restaurant. Now, Vivienne is a bit confused. Who is this guest? The only person I know in Kinshasa is lying next to me in bed. Like, who is this person? And the person at reception tells her that this is the restaurant she'll be going to, so please just be ready. And she puts down the phone. She says, okay. She puts down the phone. She wakes Julia up and she's like, Julia, I just got a very weird phone call. And apparently I'm supposed to be getting ready and the hotel cab service is going to take me to such and such a restaurant. And I don't know who this could be because you're the only person I know here. And when Julia asks to see, let me see that restaurant. And she says, what's the name of the restaurant? And Vivienne tells her the name of the restaurant. She's like, I hope I'm pronouncing it properly, but this is the name. She's like, such and such a restaurant. And she's like, yes. And she was like, that restaurant is for the elite. That restaurant is for the elite. So clearly it's one of those guys from last night who were seated at that table with the big boys, because not just anybody goes to this restaurant. And she's just too curious not to go. She knows the dangers, but she's willing to take the chance. She's just too curious not to go. She's intrigued. Who is this person who's summoning her? How did they know where she was? Like, there's just too many questions. She's going. And Julia is also encouraging her, like, go, mommy. You don't know who it could. Just go. Just go. At least it's a cab service from the hotel, so you know this person hasn't just got some dodge capage person. And this restaurant that you're going to, It's a busy restaurant, but again, it's those people. So just go and enjoy. And so she goes, she makes sure she's ready. The cab service takes her to this restaurant. The driver steps out with her and walks her up to this table. And as she's approaching this table, she notices a really beautiful French man sitting there, dressed in an olive-colored suit. He's got an off-white shirt on and nude shoes. And he stands up to greet her. And she's just like, hi. And he's just like, how are you? Welcome. And she's like, I'm good. He pulls the seat for her so that she can have a seat. He sits down and he introduces himself as Gabriel. And he's just like, I saw you last night and I decided I had to meet you. I could tell you're not from around here. I needed to meet you. Now, of course, he's speaking with this really thick French accent. And she's just like, wait, how did you know where I was? And he laughs. And he's just like, don't worry about that. Anyway, let's get to know each other. Is that okay with you? And she's like, yeah, sure. So they're talking, getting to know each other. Eventually, he excuses himself. He goes to the bathroom. As soon as he goes, she calls Julia and she's like, this is who this guy says he is. And she's like, what? And she's like, yeah, he says he's so-and-so. And she's like, Vivienne, that is that politician. That's a politician's son. His dad is a very, very wealthy man. And this man you speak of, Gabriel, is in business. And he uses his dad's political connections to, do the most. He has made some serious money for himself. That's who you're sitting next to or with. As soon as she drops the phone, Viv is clear, I need to make sure I secure this man. I need to be more strategic. I need to sit up and get it together because I need to get this guy. And so they sit there and she turns on her charm and they sit there and they're talking and getting to know each other. And then he asks her, how long are you going to be here? And she says, I'm supposed to be flying back the day after tomorrow. I just came from for Fashion Week. And he asks, well, is there any way I can convince you to stay a little longer? And she's like, well, we'll see. Maybe you can. And so he's like, okay. So they have a really, 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 really good lunch that turns into a late afternoon. She gets dropped back off at the hotel. Now, again, she wants to get to know Gabriel. Let me put it that way. She wants to get to know Gabriel. She's not trying to let this man slip through her fingers. So as soon as she gets back to the hotel, she's texting him, I'm back, I'm safe. Thank you so much for the lunch, everything. And Gabriel is just as interested in her. So he's calling her, he's texting her. She then calls Keith and she's like, listen, baby, I think I'm going to stay here a little longer. I have to secure a few more deals before I come back home. It just wouldn't make sense for me to get on a plane and come home when I haven't quite done everything I wanted to do. And he agrees. And he's like, well, I'm here. If you need anything, just let me know. But yes, agreed. Stay there until you secure. And she does. And she makes sure during that time she spends with Gabriel. They are everywhere. He's showing her the high life of Kinshasa. They are surrounded by opulence, luxury, and bodyguards. He's taking her for everywhere. Remember, this is a politician's son. So he's taking her everywhere. And when he's not available, he sent one of his drivers to take her places, to show her around. And she's just loving her time. She's basking in it. She is loving that time. While she's there, he also introduces her to some really big names in the fashion industry, some just celebs as well. Like he introduces her to, people you would like to know if you were going to be doing business in Kinshasa. And he says to her in passing, you must consider bringing your clothing here from the pieces you've worn and you told me you own or from your store. I think you would do quite well having a little boutique here. And she's just like, yeah, that's a good idea. I'll really look into it. And so they spend the rest of their time getting to know each other, the rest of the time just being about that thing. One night, Gabriel's dad calls him and says, son, tonight you need to come home for dinner. Now, this is the family home. You need to come home for dinner. I want to discuss a couple of things with you, business related. So make sure you're there 7 o'clock. Don't be late. So Gabriel goes to the house for dinner. They have dinner. After dinner, he kisses his mom, he thanks her for the food, and then he goes with his dad to the office, and they sit there talking business, having a whiskey together. He's telling the dad that this is what he's working on. The dad is telling him this is what he needs him to do, this, that, and the other. And then he says, before Gabriel leaves, just by the way, I hear you've been around town with a young woman, what's going on? And he's just like, no, it's just this girl who's come from Joburg, lady who's come from Joburg, just getting to know her, this, that, and the other. And he's just like, okay, well, just be careful. And this isn't even because of where she's from. This is because of who they are. So the dad is like, no, just be careful, son. Love you, take care, leave. Now it's about time for Vivienne to make her way back home. She needs to come back home. Like, there's no way around it. She's got a lot of stuff that needs to be done. And the longer she stays, the more suspicious Keith is going to get. So she needs to come back home. Says her goodbyes, spends her moments with Gabriel, and then makes her way back to Joburg. As soon as she gets to the airport, Keith is there waiting for her. He takes her back to his place. They spend a bit of time together. They get down to them things, and she wakes up the next morning and she's got a text message from Gabriel asking if she's okay. Did she arrive safely? All of that. And she's saying yes, she's arrived safely. Now, the next couple of weeks, her and Gabriel are in frequent communication, but she is very clear that she also has to, give Keith that time and attention. She doesn't want to lose him either. Remember, Keith takes care of her, and very well. And she's not at that level with Gabriel where he's parting with that much just yet. So she wants to make sure her man feels secure in his position. So she's spending a lot of time with him. A couple of weeks go by. Again, she's speaking to Gabriel, and he says to her, listen, I'm actually going to be coming to Cape Town next week. I've got some business to take care of. I don't know if you would be available to come and join me. And she's like, yes, I'll come. Later on that evening, she says to Keith, babe, I'm going to be traveling to Cape Town. I don't know, would you like to come with me? I've got some business I want to take care of. I want to go and see some vendors, and also with the skincare brand. I've got some things I want to take care of. Now, Vivienne's a very smart woman. She heard him on the phone earlier that afternoon, talking with somebody on the phone about how he needed to fly out the next week to London for some work. So she knew very well that he wasn't going to come with her to Cape Town. He couldn't. He was going to be too busy. And why would she stupidly have him come and blow up her own spot? She's now seeing a whole politician's son from Kinshasa. Come on. So he says, no, babe, I can't come with you. I'm going to be in London. I'm going to be busy, but you should go and get your work done. And she's just like, oh, that's so unfortunate. I would have loved to spend time with you, but I get it. And that's what I love so much about you. You're such a busy man. You're so focused, all of that. And it's time for her to go to Cape Town. And when she goes to Cape Town, she pulls up to this beautiful, vacation home. And she's just like, what is going on here? And he's just like, no, this is one of my family's properties. Cape Town is a place we love. So, I mean, yeah, this is a home we own. And she's already like, so they stay in this vacation home where there is a brand new Merc parked in the garage for them to move around in. And money is not a problem for Gabriel. And so he's also now out and about, taking her to places that he knows she would love. And she's also recommending places she's been to that he may not know. So the next week they spend going to living the soft life in vineyards and waterfront lunches and dinners, and just going sightseeing and doing all of this stuff. Now, of course, she has to be very smart about what she's doing. Although her man is now in London, she needs to be sure that she, keeps that communication going. Yeah, she's quite a lot of the time, her phone is on airplane mode and she's pretending, or flight mode, and she's pretending like, some of the places she's at, the network is bad. But for the most part, she's trying her best to keep up with Keith too, make sure that he doesn't suspect anything. They spend their time in Cape Town living it up, plush, okay? And Gabriel gets a call from his dad and he's like, you need to come home, son. There's business that needs to be taken care of. Please make sure you come home as soon as you can. And so Gabriel says, I have to cut this trip short. I really have to cut the trip short. But I don't want to, pull you out of this vacation mode you're in. So I can book you into a hotel and I can leave you with the car. You can drive it around. And when you're ready to go back, you go back home. And she's just like, thank you. And he flies out. As soon as Gabriel flies out, she calls one of her girlfriends and she's like, you've got to join me in Cape Town. Yeah, I've got a lot to tell you. Just come to Cape Town, get a ticket and come to Cape Town. And the friend gets to Cape Town. She's there the next day and she's telling her about this guy she's met from Congo and how, basically he's been taking care of her. And this car she's driving, this Merc she's driving, he left it for her. And the friend is asking questions. She's like, so is he leaving this car for you? Like he wants you to have it? And also what's going to happen with, like she's asking all the questions. Understand this. Birds of a feather flock together. So of course her friend is also offering her advice. Like you need to make sure you keep these men separate but secure them both so that you can get those coins properly. And she's telling her, no, don't worry, I've got this. I've got this. And so she keeps everything very separate. And she keeps on asking her, so this car, because now they're driving around, they're moving around the city like they own it in this beautiful car. And Gabriel has left her with money too. So she's just enjoying. And remember, Keith takes care of her and plus she makes money from her own businesses. So she is not short of money at all. So she's driving around the city like they own it with her friend and she's busy saying secured. And you need to figure out this car situation. Is he going to be giving you this car? When they were in Kinshasa, remember, Julia kept on talking about the fact that she loved the driver's car that Gabriel would send for her, which happened to be a Merc. So she'd already put it in his ear that she loves that foreign car. And when he was here from Congo, when he was in Cape Town, one night while they were laying in bed, she got a phone call from a friend. And her friend said something to her. Vivienne was freaking out on the phone. She dropped the phone. Gabriel asked her what is going on, like what the hell is going on? And she had said to him, no, my car engine packed up. Now my car is useless, this, that, and the other. And he had said to her before he leaves, don't worry, we'll sort it out. And so when he left the room, she was already like, got him. So when he left that car for her to say, like, you can drive all of this, she now needed to know, how long can I keep this car for? What she really wanted to know is, can I keep this car? Can I have this car? When it's time for her and her friend to go back to Joburg, she calls Gabriel and she says, my love, I'm actually making my way back to Joburg. What would you like me to do with the car keys? I don't know where to put the car, aside. What would you like me to do? And Gabriel is like, no, take the car back with you to Joburg if you can, or if you have a friend in Cape Town, you can leave it there, or just take it back with you to Joburg. And she's just like, okay, no problem. As soon as she dropped the phone, she like, oh, I'm taking this car to Joburg. This is my car now. She's clear. I'm taking this back. So goes back to Joburg, makes arrangements for the car to be sent. And now she's around in the city, driving this beautiful car. Now remember, Keith is not there. Keith is still in London. So she still has time to make up an excuse and to figure out what she's going to say to him about this new car. She's clear. Either which way, she's having both these men because they are taking care of her. I would like to reiterate that Vivienne is not a stupid woman. She knows what she wants and she is not letting up until she gets all of it. When she's back in town, back in Joburg, her and Gabe are maintaining a very frequent communication. And so she And so she's doing the same with Keith. And now neither of them are there to kind of block what she needs to be doing and giving them both all that attention and making them feel secure in their positions. Then the one day, Gabriel calls her and he says to her, you know, I've been thinking, and, you know, we were talking about you, or I had mentioned to you that it wouldn't be a bad idea for you to, you know, open a boutique here, and actually saw some really, really cute property. When you have a moment, you must come back to Kinshasa. He also just wants her to come back. I mean, come on. When you have a moment, you must come back to Kinshasa and have a look at the space and let's see what we can do. She already knows what that means. She knows that Gabriel is going to pay for that space, and he's going to secure some vendors so she can have the best of the best in that store. She knows she's about to enter the game of movers and shakers in Kinshasa. She is now connected to a politician's son.